ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final round of the 3 free races that SRL are hosting before their fantastic TCR league gets underway, and we finish off these 3 races at the southern half of Japan at the famous track of Okayama. Has a very long history hosting a couple of F1 races as well as Super Formula, and specialising in their bikes as well. So it is a national treasure, the Okayama International Circuit, and we have the privilege of taking our touring cars around here for the final round of the 3 races. So before we get into all the action, we're first of all going to just remind you that obviously if you want to get involved in the new season of the touring cars with SRL here, you can do so by joining their Discord, signing up, following the steps in the Discord, and yeah, getting yourself involved and taking a part from the details you see in the Discord channels. Now, without further ado, what we'll do is we will show up the points from the last round. So those should be on your screen now for you. And well, after the last round, as you can see, Mr. Delmont leads the way once again with 228 points. Arthur Thurtle following closely just in behind that in P2 on 194. Not much breathing room between Mr. Thurtle and Mr. Lovesey, as Lovesey's on 191 points. There's your top 3, so they are ultra close, as they have been for the entire 3 races so far, to be fair. Paddy Faulkner just in behind that with a 20-point gap in P4, then followed by Dan Mould with a 1-point difference. Kim-Andre Bjorkland and Philip Gray sharing the points on 162 each. Daniel Sedgley on 144, John Brown 143, Callum McCain 140, and that is your top 10 for the points list. Now what we'll do is we'll leave it up there just for a second or two so I can have a early drink break, and you can read through some of the other point scorers for any of those drivers that you are supporting here, and also for those of you that are joining us in the YouTube chat, please do drop a like on the video and make sure you share it out, and yeah, get stuck in the live chat as well. Let us know which racers you think are going to win these races tonight. Remember, we do have a 20-minute followed by a 5-minute warm-up and then a 25-minute race to round off the free series. So get your votes in now into the YouTube chat. Let us know who you think is going to win while I quickly take a very quick drinks break. Find the person that you're supporting in the points list there for the pre-season races. Well, there we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you all had some time to try and find the driver that you are supporting within the points list there. You can see we are literally in the last 15 seconds of the practice, and you can see how close it is between all these drivers. There is nothing splitting any of these races here today. I think the biggest gap I can see is 0.4 of a second there between Daniel Lewis and Cooper Akers. So nothing between any of them whatsoever. As we head into qualifying, we have Mr. Tom Woodcock joining us in chat, expecting big things from Kev, Cooper and Paul tonight. Okay, well that'll be a good watch for those then, and we'll have to keep an eye out for those drivers and see how they get on. Andrew Lovesey also joined us in chat, watching from Turkey. Well, hopefully the weather is good in Turkey at the minute. The sun did come out eventually in the UK here today, but I'm sure you're having a much better time with the weather over in Turkey. So, the drivers are starting to make their way around for their first lap of qualifying. Now, this will be the prime time to get the tyres warmed up, get the temperature into the rubber on all four corners of the vehicle, and really give it get its full potential out of the first timed lap that you're going to be putting on in this qualifying session. Now, you can see at the bottom of your screen there is the qualifying bars. Now, these bars are fantastic for all you viewers at home and fantastic for me in the commentary booth, who, well, I will say, I am on my own today, so bear with me. There may be a couple of pauses just where I need to either take a breather or actually have a drink again. So, yeah, please bear with me with that. But those bars at the bottom are fantastic for myself in the booth here, and obviously you guys watching at home, because it shows you how these guys are doing with their lap time sector by sector. It's split up into 4 sectors on this track, so you can really knuckle down on where cars are gaining and where cars are losing time. We'll just wait for the few cars to come around, and just like last week, Mr. John Brown will be the first car to set a time around the Yokoyama circuit. He is leading the force. As you can see, he is in the SRL Audi there, SRL TCR Audi, as he comes into the first corner. Now picking up the pace, getting into the qualifying session as we just breached the 2-minute mark. 13 minutes left to go for these cars to put in some good times and get that position they destined for on the grid as well. You will see all green times on the bars for their first timed lap, because obviously they are going quicker than what they were doing for their warm-up lap, so that is the part that won't really help you guys to start with, so don't worry too much about what's showing at the bottom of your screen. Focus more on Mr. Brown as we just sit on board here. He has got Honda lurking in the background. Obviously that draft is going to come into play, I imagine. I'm not too sure how powerful it is in the touring cars myself, but we have seen a few cars catch up to others with a bit of ease compared to normal, so there is some kind of effect, but what distance that takes effect on, not too sure. But the Audi and Honda have kept equidistant for the entire lap. There's not really much change in the spacing between the two vehicles, as John almost gets a bit of a slide on there into the left-hander. Now, we do have some corner names with us here today as well, or I did have anyway. I still do have them. I'm not losing the plot. Believe it or not, the corner we're coming into now is actually called Last Corner. So this is the last corner of the track as they come down the home straight, and Mr. Brown will be putting up the first time of the session, and up it goes any second now. There we go, on the timing tower on the top left you can see John Brown has gone quickest. What we'll do is we'll wait for all the times to filter through, because if not I'll be saying every person's name for the first lap, so we'll just wait for them all to filter through. But Thurtle does lead the way currently with a 138.6, so 138.6 is the time to beat for the other racers out on track. Now, it's not going to be an easy time to beat at all. There is going to be some challenges along the way, and there isn't much space on this track, or there's not much, many places, should I say, that you can sort of gain an advantage over your rivals out there. So it is definitely going to be an interesting situation, and it's going to be a tough test for these drivers as well, because with not many places to gain time, or well, plenty of places to lose time but not much to gain, there's going to be a lot to fight for here. So it will be very, very interesting to see where these drivers are going to try and thrive and get through into the positions that they so destined for. Now this weekend we do have the, I believe it's the Japanese F1 Grand Prix as well, so there's a lot more to look forward to. So once you finish watching the TCRs here with the SRL Racing League, once you finish watching this, the final round of the 3-3 series, you can then hop on over to Sky or whatever sports channel you watch and go check out some of the F1 races as well, because you'll have all the build-up and everything over there, I'm sure. So you've got that to look forward to. 1:38.1 is now the quickest time by Mr. Turtle. Will Lyon is not letting him settle. Mr. Delmont comes through into P1 with a 1:38.135. So yeah, it is all going on in Japan this weekend. TCRs, F1, a lot to look forward to, and a lot of flashing going on as well. The Iron Brew car there getting on the outside, looks still be on the warm-up lap as these cars go around for another timed lap. Let's see if we can, have we got all drivers appear? Yep, we do have the drivers slowly making times and all getting up on to the time and time. Just trying to make sure that all drivers will be shown, and I can confirm that they will all be shown, so you will see all the names up there as well. And unfortunately we do have to send out an early apology to Deck. I did forget to change your name back, so you are still known as Old Man Deck in P20 there overall, so apologies about that. But we do have some of the names I stumbled on the last couple of not last race before have made a return. The one name that I do love saying is Deju. I love that name. Fantastic. In P15 overall there. Let's see where Deju is on track at the minute. In fact, coming up to last corner, believe it or not. Through into last corner. So what we're going to do is we are going to take Mr. Deju. We're going to sit on board with him for a lap, and we'll talk you through the corners. So believe it or not, this corner coming up here is called First Corner, from what I have in front of me on my notes. Now, as he goes towards the right-hand side of the track, swings back in to try and catch the apex on to Williams, through into Moss S's. There are the Moss S's, and then hugs the left-hand side of the track before we get to Atwood Curve. You can see the Blade Designs livery there, catching the apex of that very nicely and holding the inside line as you break away down the straight towards Hairpin Corner. Now this corner you do have to get the braking perfect, but this is obviously going to be a crucial overtaking zone for the first couple of races as well. As you can see, there's the 100 board, brakes go on just after that as Deju looks to catch the apex once again. The purple gloves go over the top of the steering wheel there as he gets some serious angle in on that, through Revolver Corner into Piper Corner and up a short straight to Redman Corner. Believe it or not, they all have the word corner in the title. Who would have thought? As we circle round Redman now, coming into Hobbs Corner, the sort of, again, another sort of hairpin right-hander. Get on the power nice and early, and then you can sort of open it up through Mike Knight Corner into last corner, and then back across the start-finish line for a lap of the Okayama circuit. As you can see, the crowd there on the left-hand side, willing and raring to go to watch the SRL TCRs take at it once again and make battle in Japan. And what a fierce battle it's going to be. It's shaping up to be really close as well, as you can see from how close the times actually are there. You can see the Blade Designs livery is holding off a decent position in front. I believe that is I want to say that is our man Deck. That is Mr. Deck Crowther. So he is currently out there setting some decent lap times as he's pushed his way up into P10. Not bad result whatsoever for Mr. Crowther. See, he comes down into the braking zone. He's braked just on the 100 mark. And as we saw, Deju was braking just after that as well. So Deju just a little later on the brakes. Whether that's actually costing time for Deju, who's currently P15, compared to Deck Crowther, who's P10 overall. See the brakes red hot on Mr. Crowther's car as well. We have just around 5 more minutes to go. So 5 more minutes for Delmont to try and defend the lead that he's worked so hard for that pole position going into the penultimate race of the 3-free event series. Dan Mole just in behind, not even a tenth between those two. Will Lyon and Adam McNally swapping positions and interchanging there as we see Deck come across the line once again. He's going to improve on his time. Let's take a look at some of the bars at the bottom. You can see Deck did do a purple sector within that last lap, and unfortunately he's going to have to suffer a bit of an off track there, and he's actually suffered a position at the same time as well. So Mr. Crowther retires back to the pits after taking a short trip to the beach of Japan as he just went straight on into the first corner. And Drew Lovesy, get in, Deck, as long as you're quicker than Walters. Oh, there we go, lovely bit of I would say a bit of rivalry within the league already. We like to see that. We do like to see some on-track rivalries and some enjoyment from a lot of you guys as well. Alpha Turtle has knocked Mr. Delmont off of that P1 spot just after I spoke about it, actually, in a 1 minute 37.651. So Mr. Turtle is currently leading the way as things stand. He's set up for that pole position in race number 1 here tonight, which is the penultimate race, like I say, of the 3-free series. So there's not many chances for these guys to I'd say get the final prep work and the best sort of training / experience you're going to get before the league well and truly kicks off. This is going to be your ultimate chance to do that, and what a cracking chance it will be as well around a fantastic circuit where we know the racing is going to be tight. And I'll be honest, I believe it is well and truly going to be a handful for me tonight to monitor all the overtakes that are going on, because I imagine there will be quite a lot. With some quite interesting places to open the car up a little more than others, and well, certainly some people that are later into the braking zone, as we just missed Danny Martin coming into that braking zone there, so we just missed the point of where he brakes. Danny Fury Martin currently P30 overall, which is the last car to have set a time so far, but we do have some cars that haven't set a time yet. So we do have the car of Mr. Robert Williams, who we cannot find on the track, Mr. Chris Barnes, and Elliot James. Elliot James is now coming out of the pit, or looks to be, and decided, or he's realised he's on camera and decided not to. I think he's got a bit camera shy. So Elliot James is not coming out just yet, possibly leaving it till the last minute, which is an interesting tactic. I would have tried to get out there as soon as possible and get some lap times in. I did have reports that Elliot James has left the pits, but in actual fact he's gone back into the pit again. So let's jump on board, or towards Adam McNally. Some great circuits for the season, probably to come. Can't wait. Well, we can't wait to see you on track either, so it'll be fantastic to see as many people on track as possible. And obviously for those that can't make the racing or don't want to take part themselves, obviously you know where you can find it on this channel directly. You will find myself in the booth week in, week out for all rounds of the upcoming season, details to which you will find displayed on your screen now in the bottom right corner. So if you wish to get yourselves involved, obviously there is a little thing there to help you and steer you in the right direction for that. There will be another large notice during the interviews, which will be there in the bottom right corner again, and on the final screen of this broadcast as well. So if you want further details, do stay until then. But for now, make sure you do drop the likes and everything on the stream, because obviously it really does help. And we're going to see if we can push some targets each round as well, so if we can make it bigger and better each week. As we just wait for the final minute, 2 laps. Alpha Turtle leading the way with a 1:37. Tom Woodcock, wish I could be racing in it. Despite the awful track, I've missed racing these guys. Well, Tom, it was an actual pleasure to have you back, and look forward to hopefully seeing you on track again very soon. And fingers crossed we won't have to wait too long for that either. So, looking forward to seeing you back with us very, very soon. Last 8 seconds of qualifying then coming up, and Mr. Mould is setting purple sector times. Can Mr. Mould get himself on to that P1 spot? No, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it quick enough. Let's quickly jump to your grid then. So, we have Arthur Thurtle getting pole position, Adam Delmont P2, Dan Mould P3, Will Lyon P4, Mark Draper P5, John Brown P6, Patrick Faulkner P7, Deju P8, we've got Fraser Elphick P9, Jay Corley P10, Adam McNally P11, Alan McCain P12. And then to shoot through these names, we've got Fraser Garrity, followed by Deck Crowther, followed by Stephen Fry, Neil Stevenson, Craig Waters, Daniel Lewis, Giles Huben, Kim Andre Bjorkland, Cooper Akers, and Stuart Gibbons, Kev Eilert, Carl Fleet, followed by Carl Fleet. We have Ricardo Neto, Anthony Hilton, Paul Hurley, Hilton Nickinson, Danny Fury Martin, Nick Kent, Robert Williams, Chris Barnes, and Elliot James. So those are your starting cars there. So let's jump down to our lovely view of the cars. As you can see, they are all sitting there on the grid, ready to go. You can see Mr. Thurtle on the P1 position, waiting. And we'll have the long range view going in to the first corner before we then jump to follow Mr. Thurtle as we wait for the lights to show. The last couple of cars coming onto grid now. I think we're still waiting. No, we're not waiting. Yes, we are. Sorry, we're waiting for Deju and Mr. Corley. So last call for Deju and Corley before we get the race underway, and they have to start in the pits. 33 cars on the grid for the TCR penultimate race for the 3-3 race series at the Okayama circuit. There'll be a 25-minute race to follow this as well. Here we go. So lights are up. All cars are on the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Green flag.
And it's green, green, green. We are underway. As you could hear, the green flag radio message going out through the channels there for the drivers as they come into turn 1. Arthur Thurtle having to defend against, or on the outside line really, against Mr. Delmont, who is not going to be easy to hold back. As you can see, Delmont has gained that advantage straight away and posted himself out in front of the others as well. Will Lyon obviously getting himself stuck in there after unfortunate events last round out, where he was having a fantastic race and then unfortunately had a collision towards the end of it, costing him a crucial position, which I believe would have been a P2 if I'm not mistaken. So he's looking to capitalise on that and get back to where he was before. We do have some names going down the grid very, very quickly. Deju, unfortunately, is looking at a barrier, trying to inspect it for any damage. I believe that is a steward's job, Deju. That's not your job to be doing. And it looks like, I think that's Fraser Elphick as well, had unfortunately crashed. So Fraser Elphick is out of the race as well. But I've had reports back from Deju that the barriers are working correctly and they are all a safe manner to use. So we are lucky to have such great stewards and, you know, care racers as well. You know, they share a lot of care for the track, and they're very respectful towards the Japanese barriers surrounding Okayama here, as Deju's just shown us there by inspecting them very closely on lap 1. So Adam Delmont leads the way at the minute, coming through to round off the first lap of the 20-minute race. So are the nerves going to be there for Delmont? Can he carry on his championship reign so far? Because he is currently in the P1 overall on the standings as well. And believe it or not, P1 and P2 are exactly where they are in the championship standings, I believe, as well. So Mr. Thurtle is just in behind in P2. What we'll do is we'll get the battle box up as well, so you can see their car numbers and you can match it up to the cars that you see on the screen. You can see the overtakes and those that have been overtaken. Differences of 1s between the top 7. Patrick Faulkner being the only car to not have a 1 green or red next to his name, staying neutral in P7 at the minute. Jay Corley in amongst it as well in the result clothing car there, P9 overall. Just behind him you've got Fraser Garrity and Alan McCain fighting it out in P11. So as we come in to now the right-hander, which is hairpin corner. Towards revolver corner then, Fraser Garrity looking to maintain that position he has, but then again I think everyone's going to be looking to do that. It's not going to be easy though, because everyone is just single file traffic so far. Let's jump back all the way to Stuart Gibbons, currently P20 overall. Chris Barnes just in behind him. Obviously Chris Barnes looking to have a smashing race so far, flashing his lights aggressively towards Mr. Gibbons, but I'm sure there's all love behind that, because those two are always talking and chatting away during their races. And well, Barnes is having a fantastic race so far. Barnesy is currently up 11 positions, trying to make it 12, but can't quite get the move done on Mr. Gibbons. Can he get the advantage onto the straight? Brakes a little earlier and a little harsher as well by the looks of things, as he sits just behind Gibbons there up the straight. Can he get that draft that's needed and get the inside line into the first corner? He looks out, swings back in, stays single file behind the 47 car. Number 2, 4, 5, Chris Barnes and P21 overall. Almost having to defend against Anthony Hilton, looking to take the outside line to swing himself onto the inside of the next corner, but doesn't do so in the end. The Kraken Racing livery car there of Mr. Barnes doing okay in a sandwich at the moment, but he's trying to be that top layer of bread. He's trying to get on top, but Stuart Gibbons is the man that's making his car 4 to 5 metres wide, not letting Barnes pass whatsoever. Stephen Fry down 1 position at the moment, as you can see there's a bit of jostling and defending going on there, and well, between Kim Andre Bjorklund and Craig Walters, there's nothing friendly between those two as they come into the end of the straight into the hairpin corner. Down into the double left-hander now you have to be careful with off-tracks, normally in officials for iRacing, when you come to the double left-hander, because it is very easy to drift slightly wider there. And speaking of off-tracks, I think that was Neil Stevenson there, decides to show us what an off-track looks like, and dips all 4 tyres onto the grass before swiftly returning back and having to defend his position. So Neil Stevenson is going to have to do a good job to hold those cars behind him after having that momentum loss halfway through the 3rd lap here. So Adam Delmont leading the way by a landslide at the moment. You can see the gap between him and Will Lyon. Now Lyon is making up a for obviously last week's shenanigans, should we say, towards the end of the race. Now I do apologise, Will, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, if it's Leon. I do apologise, but you're doing fantastic in your Iron Brew livery car there, up 2 positions, so fantastic so far from you. Unfortunately, Mr. Thurtle is down 3 positions now, after conceding 1 to Dan Mould. Now, I believe Dan Mould is streaming his point of view as well, so if you want to go see his point of view, you can check that out on, I believe it's on the SRL TV channel as well. But so far, fantastic racing from all these at the moment. Adam McNally in amongst it with some of the other drivers as well. As you can see, Adam McNally actually trying to get in on the action, as you saw the 2 cars in front of him, Patrick Faulkner and Mark Draper, going side by side. He looked to see if he could get the advantage and follow through Mark Draper, but unfortunately cannot get that move done, so he just slots back into single file once again. And the time is just going up and up and up. Well, it was for a second, and then Will was starting to pull some time back, but then it jumps up again. So I think it's the slow corners that Will is succeeding in, because you can see that time is fluctuating between the top 2, dipping up to 2.7 here and there, and then bouncing back down to 2.5, as you can see there. And unfortunately, it looks like we've had reports of Daniel Lewis has crashed. So let's have a look at what's happened to Mr. Dan Lewis then. So you can see this involves Chris Barnes, Stuart Gibbons, and I believe that's John Brown there as well. Daniel Lewis as excited as ever, as you can see in the bottom left corner, his excited face there, and unfortunately turning in when he's side by side, still turning in, and there, oh, in fact, sorry, that was Dan Lewis that was on the outside, not John Brown. I do apologise. The car number 318, unfortunately being spun around, so I was looking at completely the wrong car there. So apologies to Mr. Lewis. You were excited, but unfortunately you did get spun. I'm not too sure who by. I didn't recognise that livery off the top of my head. We will go through and find it, no doubt, throughout this race at some point. And in fact, I think I've just found it straight away. Cooper Akers, unfortunately, was the car that was turning in at the time, which sadly sent Mr. Oh my god, my brain with names today has not gone well. Has not gone well at all. But unfortunately, that collision did have a little bit of situation being made by Cooper Akers there, sadly. But Cooper Akers at the minute is looking to put an attack on Stuart Gibbons as he has the inside line on Mr. Gibbons. And once again, but Stuart's gone around the outside and said no problem. I'm going to take that position back, thank you very much, and almost has a speed boost going into the next corner. He opts for the inside defensive line and does very well against Mr. Akers, who just has to settle in behind. Can Barnes take advantage? He slipped up the inside. He's managed to get his cracking racing Audi on the inside line. Can he hold it now into the double right-hander? Surely this will give him the advantage, but can Akers carry the extra bit of speed around that corner? Looks to do so. They're completely side by side throughout that entire corner. Now let's look on board with Mr. Barnes, and you can see there he's slotted in just behind, but he's going to put the attack back straight back on, I imagine. No, still sits in behind. Cooper went for a bit of a defensive move there, and Barnes is being attacked as well at the same time by Anthony Hilton, who comes through and jumps up into P20. He's got his car just on the outside line there, trying to break through as well. And you can see there, stay mellow on the back of Mr. Hilton's car as he pushes through into P20, pushing Chris Barnes down one position, knocking him back down to 11 positions gained. He's not going to enjoy that whatsoever as he gets his bumper right on the rear end of that Audi and drafts, no doubt, all the way up the entire straight. So, fantastic battle between those here today. Gibbons has given a bit of a grace. He's managed to pull away a little bit from Mr. Akers, and then just up the road we have Mr. Giles Hubin, I want to say. Oh, apologies if I mispronounce any names here tonight, but I want to say that that is Giles Hubin. So Giles is having a solid race as well, up 2 positions currently, so not too bad whatsoever for him. Let's jump up to Kim Andre Bjorkland, who's in amongst it at the moment as well. As you can see there, he's well and truly in amongst a TCR sandwich. Both cars in front and 1 or 2 just in behind, but he's got a bit of a gap between him and Stephen Fry. Not much of one, no doubt. It's only 4 tenths, but it's enough. When it comes to racing, that is all you need. All you need is a tenth between cars to really have a effective battle and make sure your moves count. So this does put things on the edge of the seat for all of us watching here and everyone watching at home as well. Mr. Thurtle at the minute, unfortunately, is down 4 positions. Not the best of starts for Mr. Thurtle compared to what we've seen in previous races. No doubt he's not letting that get to him, though, as he pushes on towards the man of mistaken identity, unfortunately, by me. That is the actual John Brown there in front of Mr. Thurtle. So, John Brown leading the cars down the straight. As you can see there, coming into the braking zone, all the braking lights shining bright in the Japanese sunlight. P4 overall car number 26, the SRL livery car there of John Brown, leading the way to the pack behind that is split after Jay Corley, because there's about 1.5 seconds to Patrick Faulkner. You can see Arthur trying to get John a bit on the defensive there and trying to put him off a little bit, I think, in his mirrors. Not done so though, because the gap is still there between Thurtle and Mr. Brown, and it seems to be going up ever so slightly. It seems that some drivers are preferring this sort of final sector of the track compared to others, because you definitely see some time differences between the cars, where some people do manage to profit big time in terms of time gained from the other touring cars out there on track. You see the lap times are rolling in. 1:37.8 is the quickest. No, sorry, correct myself. 1:38 flat is the quickest there. Mr. Jay Corley. Let's jump over to Mr. Corley. There he is in the Result Clothing livery car, number 89. Runs a fantastic little streaming community as well, so obviously go check that out. Big shout out to Jay Corley there. Running a fantastic WrestleMania, I believe, today for the BU, his own wrestling sort of promotion, if you like, on WWE 2K24, I believe. But yeah, fantastic work from him, and I believe you can catch his onboard as well, so you go check his onboard out. As we can see here, you've got the battle in front of him of Adam McNally and Mr. Draper going at it once again. The golden livery of the SRL car there, taking the inside line into the double left-hander. There's the off-track I was on about. It's so easy to go wide there, and unfortunately wide has Mark Draper gone, and possibly it just been swallowed up there by Jay Corley as well. Look how much that momentum is brought back just from a simple off track there. It ruins the basically ruins the lap entirely. As you can see, he unfortunately lost 2 positions to that off track pretty much, as Adam McNally and Jay Corley do break through that defence and push up the field. Will Lyons having to defend a monstrosity amount against Mr. Mould, and it's not easy to defend against Dan Mould, who's going to go for the outside line, no doubt. Jumping on board with Mr. Mould. You can see there how close these cars are. You can see clearly the P2 sign for Mr. Lyon there as they come in to the Moss S's, as they go around into the first right-hander up the back straight, and this will be where things become crucial for these two, because it's all about momentum. Who can carry that momentum and get the best speed out of the corner? It may not be necessarily the speed you take into the corner, but it's more the speed out of this one that's going to be crucial. And it looks like Dan Mould possibly is going to take the advantage there as he swings onto the inside line, not giving Mr. Lyon much space to defend. Side by side now heading towards the braking zone. There's a slight left kink in the straight as they are well and truly side by side heading into the right hand hairpin. As you can see, Will's going to have to go and surrender to the outside. He's instantly going to try and swing left to right. Tucks right up on the back of the, it looks like Batman badge on the lower bumper there of Dan Mould's car. If you haven't looked closely enough to the back of his car, let me see if I can get you a better view. There it is. He's got the Bat logo on the rear bumper of his car there. So thanks to the GoPro camera on Mr. Lyon's helmet, we have a clear indication of that as well. And obviously, free bit of advertising there as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Mould. Obviously, check out the SRL TV channel. Obviously, you are watching live on right now, but you can get all kinds of live streaming and POVs on this channel. So do check all those out. Share them, like them, do whatever you need to do to help the SRL channel grow. This place is going on to bigger and better things as time goes on, and no doubt we will see some fantastic racing coming up in the future as well. Not just TCRs, I'm sure we'll see other vehicles potentially in the future as well, if we keep smashing targets of likes and views and everything. If we keep pushing those up, then obviously bigger and better things are going to come this way. So watch this space. It'll be great to see what comes on in the future. Speaking of the future is looking orange and is looking bright for the Iron Brew car of Mr. Will Lyon, who's trying to get back at Dan Mould. He needs to try and do that as soon as possible. You can see the time is coming down, so the draft is in play just a little bit here, and possibly just enough as it tucks him onto the back of Mr. Mould's car there. Now, can he get that job done? There's not much time to do it in now, because as we come up to the 16th minute, there's only 4 left remaining in this race, and there's a bit of squabbling going on between Jay Corley and Mark Draper at the moment as well. Mark Draper currently in a sandwich right now, looks towards the inside line on Jay Corley, then tucks back in. There's a lot of people trying to put the cars off in front, but once again, this is fantastic racing. Because I'll be honest, it's difficult to keep up with all of these cars. For example, you can see here from our fantastic blimp camera that's currently flying around the track at the moment, it kind of gives you a feel for how close these cars truly are. You get 4 to 5 cars in the shot at once. Now, there's not many races where you can do that, and you can have a lot of cars in one shot at one time. So around Okayama with the TCRs in the SRL League, this is the place to do it. John Brown, 137.6. Thank you very much, sir. That is the quickest lap time of this session as he chases down Mr. Will Lyon as well, another SRL car. So Will unfortunately finds himself in a SRL sandwich. And, well, be interesting to see how and if he can wriggle his way out of this one. So let's have a little look at what we've got in the YouTube chat at the moment then. Can tell Arthur's used to the GT cars now. Yeah, he is a little bit, I have to admit. Just wanted to finish in front of Dan, but missing this week, so it won't happen. Ah, unfortunate, Andrew. Unfortunate. Hopefully you can. Maybe in the new season. Who knows? Maybe in the new season. Apologies there for anyone watching the YouTube chat. Don't worry, the sound didn't just disappear from my mic. I just had to make sure that the commentary booth wasn't burning down, because I can smell burning. So just in case, we are going to turn some things off and see if we can actually make it to the end of the race. That would be very nice. John Brown with his massive eyebrows in the last 2 minutes, chasing down Mr. Lyon as normal. Not much has changed there between those two as it stands. Cooper Akers is the biggest gap between him and Giles Huben at the minute. He's got Stuart Gibbons and Chris Barnes just in behind him. These guys seem to have been toe to toe for the entire race. There is obviously a large-ish gap between those now at the moment, but they've done a fantastic job at keeping the group up and close together. Here is then the man that I had to send an apology out to, because I did actually forget to change his name back. I didn't do that on purpose. I know he's going to think I did, but I had no intention of leaving his name as Old Man Deck. So unfortunately, Mr. Crowther, you're going to have to deal with that. We'll get it changed for the first round of the new season. You can see his brakes are red hot at the minute, chasing Fraser Garrity, the car 117, just in front of him. Now you've got Alan McCain, Fraser Garrity, and Mr. Crowther all up 2 positions. You've got Neil Stevenson, Craig Waters, Kim Andre Bjorkland. Those up 3 positions and 5 positions, so they are having some stonking races at the moment as well. Mrs. Delmont is leading the way coming into the last minute of the race. Now as he comes into the left-hand hairpin, then into the, well, what would be actually a triple right-hander. So into the right-hand hairpin now goes your leader for race 1 so far in the SRL Next Gen livery racing team. There he goes into the quick double right-handers into last corner. And we'll give you that kind of racing feeling as well. So as we look at the GoPro through the helmet of Mr. Delmont's view there, you can see Barney was just waving the white flag on the right-hand side, indicating that this is now the final lap of the first race. So this is what it comes down to for Mr. Delmont. Can he hold his position? Well, there's 5-second gap, so I imagine he probably will. So let's jump down to Mr. Mould. Now, can Mr. Mould hold off his position between him and Mr. Lyon, who's 6 tenths away, and then 4 tenths behind that? We do have Mr. Brown as well. So there are still a fair few close gaps in amongst the timing tower here. 3 tenths, 4 tenths. It is still all going on, even on the penultimate lap, or the final lap, should I say. As you can see, Neil Stevenson also within those close gaps there. John Brown still trying to fight his way up on the straight. We'll get rid of the batter box for now. Andrew loves it. Cheese on toast. I don't think it's that. I had that yesterday actually, but no, it's not that. I haven't actually cooked anything here tonight, so it's nothing to do with me. And I see no smoke around me, so I think we are good. But Mr. Brown, currently with the longest eyebrows of the series, is coming in to the last 3 right-hand corners, and it looks like he's going to be settling for P4 unless you can get that final push out of the final turn. Speaking of the final corner, here comes Mr. Delmont through the final corner as we sit here and wait for him to cross the finish line. There is your race winner for race number 1, car number 37 coming across the line there, finishing your first race. Dan Mould P2 and Will Lyon P3. So fantastic finish for those guys there as we watch all these cars come by for the first race of this evening. A couple of them taking the beach exit off on turn 1. Just the GPU then? Oh, I mean possibly. There's no smoke, so I can't really tell. As we see the cars coming along the line, or across the line should I say, flashing their lights. Unfortunately, Kev Islet and Deju having some earlier incidents. Daniel Lewis and Fraser Elphick also having the same issues towards the start of the race. Hopefully they can make up for that in race 2. Well done to Delmont indeed, carrying on that supreme dominance up in the top spot of the championship, as we just wait for Deju to come across the line, and there he does so. So what we'll do is we'll bring you the results for Heat 1. So here they are in front of you then. Adam Delmont P1, Dan Mould P2, Will Lyon finishing off the podium P3. A fantastic result for him after what happened in the unfortunate situation of last round out. John Brown P4, Arthur Thurtle P5, Adam McNally P6, Jay Corley P7, Mark Draper P8, Patrick Faulkner P9, Alan McCain P10 overall, followed by Fraser Garrity, Dec Crowther, Neil Stevenson, Craig Walters, Kim Andre Bjorkland, Stephen Fry, Giles Hubin in P17, followed by the following of Cooper Akers, Stuart Gibbons, Chris Barnes, Anthony Hilton, Ricardo Neto, Carl Fleet, Paul Hurley, Nick Kent, Robert Williams, Elliot James, and Hilton Nickinson, Danny Fury Martin, Kev Eilert, Deju, Daniel Lewis, and after Mr. Lewis, we did have Mr. Elphick. And I believe that is everyone. That is indeed. See, it always tends to cut off the final name, and I'm not too sure why. But what we're going to do is we'll flick to Mr. Giles Hubin, who is currently out on track at the minute. Not really doing a lot. Watching race 2 by the pool tomorrow off to bed now. Well, Andrew, hope you have a wonderful sleep, and look forward to hearing your feedback on the broadcast for race 2 tomorrow. He's a bit good, isn't he? Just a little bit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a quick drinks break once again, and I'll be back in just a few moments. We'll bring up the timer so you guys can see exactly, and we'll make sure we are up to date. We are, so you can see there's a few minutes left. So now is the time to go grab a drink, like I am going to do, and go to the toilet, do whatever else you need to do in this 5-minute warm-up. So we're going to take a quick break in the commentary booth, and we'll be back with you in a couple of moments. Feeling refreshed and, well, very warm as well. It turns out the commentary booth isn't burning down. 10 points to whoever said cheese on toast, so I think it was Andrew. So Andrew, 10 points to you. Because, well, by the sounds of it, it was actually a toaster that was that was burning. So yeah, that's all sorted, and that was actually de-escalated during the first race. So race 2 is on its way. What I'm going to do is bring you your grid straight away. So Mr. Old Man Deck Crowther is leading the way with his Zimmer frame. Fraser Garrity P2, Alan McCain P3, Patrick Falconer P4, Mark Draper P5, Jake Corley P6, Adam McNally P7, Arthur Thurtle P8, John Brown P9, Will Lyon P10, Dan Mould, Adam Delmont follow on just behind that. Neil Stevenson, Craig Walters, Kim Andre Bjorkland, Stephen Fry, Giles Hubin, Cooper Akers, Stuart Gibbons and Chris Barnes P20. Anthony Hilton, Ricardo Neto, Carl Fleet, Paul Hurley, followed by Nick Kent, Robert Williams, Elliot James, Hilton Nicholson, Danny Fury Martin, Kev Eilert, Deju, Daniel Lewis and Fraser Elphick. Now, apologies for going through those so quick, but you can see how little time we have in the commentary booth before these guys get underway. Green. And there we go, green. These guys are off once again for a 25-minute race this time. As you can see, one of the cars in the background getting 2 tyres on to the grass verge there in the background, trying to gain the advantage. Doesn't do so as we get away for 25 minutes. You can see smoke being left behind, but smoke being made up top now between Fraser Garrity and Deck Crowther as they set this track on fire with an early position change between the top 2. Bumper to bumper kissing between Patrick Falconer and Deck Crowther as well. Patrick Falconer hasn't even asked Deck Crowther out for dinner before giving him that cheeky peck on the rear end as they go round onto the back straight. And Deck Crowther is in the line of draft, and unfortunately Patrick Falconer won't be able to find his way into that line either, because it's just like congestion on the M25. You're never going to squeeze into that single file line of traffic, but he forces his way in like any white man van driver will do, and well, he's managed to succeed in getting in front of Mr. Deck Crowther, and well, I think the white van men of the great British country that we all live in will be proud of that. That was a fantastic move for cutting up traffic. I'm not holding any grudges against white van people, shall we say, but they are so annoying when it comes to traffic, as Deck is finding out as well, with Patrick Falconer cutting up just in front of him, and now he's got more pecks on the rear end from Mark Draper this time as he looks to try and progress in front of him for the second race. Deck Crowther currently holding on to the bottom podium position after starting this race from P1. Not the best start for Mr. Crowther, but certainly not the worst either. He's still in the podium spots at the minute, still on the rear end of Patrick Falconer. No doubt he will be for this entire race. Let's drop down the grid just a little further then. Mr. Thurtle, who did lose a couple of positions in the first race, unfortunately, is trying to make up for that and make amends meet now. And Mr. Thurtle is up 1 position into P7, and McCain just in front of him, down 3 positions at the moment in P6, and just in front of that Mr. McNally as well, up 2 positions there. So Mr. Thurtle is going to try and break through as early as he can. You can see Fraser Garrity taking a very defensive line there as he tries to get out the drafting space and not give any advantage to Mr. Falconer as he goes into the braking zone and really hugs that inside curb as he goes around that tight right-hander into the double lefts. The white and blue Honda leading the way at the moment. Fraser Garrity, the car number 117. And you can see he is making full advantage of the lead he currently has. Deck Crowther having a bit of issues there with the sand. Didn't quite meet eye to eye and said you belong on a beach and roughed it up and tried to send it back to where it belongs. Didn't do very well though, because his brakes are currently on fire and he's lost a lot of momentum, so I think the sand has gained an advantage among Deck Crowther. And well, he's now got to try and sort of, I guess, worry about Mr. Draper behind, but Draper's also fallen behind a little bit as well, and there's still sand being kicked up in the background. So you can see how desperate these guys are to get by each other as soon as possible. You can see Patrick Falconer trying to make moves up on the inside. Didn't go for it in the end for an early move into lap 3. And you can see it's 3 off 40, but obviously we won't get the full 40 laps in. Oh, bit of smoke being made there from Fraser Garrity. Patrick Falconer is going to take advantage and move into P1. Deck Crowther is now going to have a sniff and try and get back up into P2. Possibly try and push on for the race lead once again. The car number 167 sitting there in P3 once again. Going to hopefully try and gain the momentum on top of Garrity and bring a fantastic fight to us by the end of the straight. But you can see all these cars that swinging around trying to gain that momentum and gain that drafting advantage, and it's honestly fantastic to see all these cars in such a long congested line. Deck Crowther unfortunately having to defend once again against the attack of Mark Draper, and unfortunately Mark wasn't successful this time. Alan McCain and Mr. McNally also just in behind that trying to fight away. And unfortunately, he's not going to like me for it at the minute, but we've just had reports that Stuart Gibbons has crashed and he's fallen down the grid rapidly. Let's quickly have a slow-mo on what happened to Mr. Gibbons. So we're coming up the back straight now into the right-hand hairpin. You can see there's a bit of chopping and changing, as we've learnt from, that is the car of Mr. Cooper Akers, car number 29 there, as he's braked on the inside, as Stuart Gibbons has gone towards the inside as well, kept going towards the inside, made contact, unfortunately, double contact there, and I think that's kind of brought his race to a standstill momentarily. And in fact, I think that has permanently, because we do have reports that Stuart Gibbons is now out or in the pits, and Fraser Elphick is out currently as well. So sadly, we've lost two cars early doors, and it looks like Cooper Akers is also in the pits, possibly for some repairs. Anthony Hilton doing the same as well, both into the pit lane now. Tom Woodcock, Deck on pole. Yes, he was indeed. Deck Crowther is now a little further down the grid, unfortunately. Deck Crowther now down into P12. Not too sure what happened to him. I'm imagining it was some form of off-track or potentially worse. Not having reports of anything though, so maybe Deck just got a slowdown. I'm sure if we do have the opportunity to have an interview with him after the race, we will certainly ask him on what happened to Mr. Crowther for P1, as Kim Andre Bjorklund looks to attack up the inside of Deck Crowther's car there, the 167. He then regains the inside line, holds it into the double left-hander, maintains that inside line and gets back into single file traffic once again. And when you're in the single file traffic, if you're that car in front of your group that's behind you, like if you're that sort of lead car, you can really sort of control the pace around this track, because cars do tend to stick single file for a very, very long time. And the only car I could see trying to make moves out of that group there was Chris Barnes. You can see him swerving in the background, going offline to try and put some daunting effect on the mirrors of the car in front of Giles Huben. And unfortunately didn't quite work out, because he's now got a bit of time between those two there at the moment. Mark Draper is currently 1.3 seconds behind Fraser Garrity, who Fraser Garrity has just put in the quickest lap time of the session so far, 1:38 flat almost. So fantastic result for him there for the quickest lap so far, but no doubt we will see quicker lap times as the heat get into the tyres. Only 7 minutes in on lap 5, so there's still plenty of time to go, plenty of time to make your moves. So it is all still to play for. Now Patrick Falconer does have a little bit of a gap on top of Fraser Garrity, and then obviously there's a little bigger, a slightly bigger gap, if I could actually English today, between Fraser Garrity and Mark Draper. So everyone that we do have watching live here in the YouTube chat, obviously if you're enjoying the stream that is brought to you here live today for the touring cars, please do drop it a like. But also, if you have access to a keyboard right now and you can talk in our chat, please do write down the name of the driver you are hoping to win this race, or you think will win the race, or both. Let us know your thoughts there. And well, we don't condone or promote betting here, but we're not going to put any money on it. But yeah, get your thoughts in. Try and make a prediction, is what we'll call it. There's nothing on the line, so try and make your prediction and see if you reign victorious with your prediction here for this final race of the free series. Jay Corley and Dan Mould battling out side by side. Is that going to provoke Dan Mould? Is he going to concede the position to Deck Crowther as well? You can see Deck just lurking in the background there at the moment. Jay Corley is going to try and hold the inside line, but you can see Dan Miles' car just in front and then into the braking zone. Jay Corley on the brakes a little later. Smoke there as they go through the smoke cloud, through turn 1 into turn 2. A long left-hander where you can carry a little bit more speed than normal, or than what you would think. And oh, they look like a bit of chaos and carnage there between Mr. Deck Crowther and Kim Andre Bjorkland. Which is a livery that sticks out quite well, so it's always easy to spot his car, the black and red Audi there. And just in front of him is Mr. Walters, who's going for the attack, the CW car. It looks like Jay Corley has gone wide as well, because we saw a little puff of sandy smoke there, and you can see some flashing in the mirrors of Mr. Mould. So I'm not too sure what's happened between those two, but I'm sure whatever it wasn't very pretty. We didn't have any reports on it, so there's nothing we can go back on to watch. But no doubt it is something that's going to be pretty tense between these two as we carry on through this race, because that gap certainly won't open up too much, and no doubt it will close down as the race progresses. John Brown kind of on the back of this battle at the minute between Will Lyon and Adam McNally. Those guys are fighting out, smoke flying everywhere really between those cars at the moment. As we jump down the field, Cooper Akers, unfortunately, sitting there in P30 overall. We still have, do we have an Anthony Hilton? No, we don't have an Anthony Hilton plodding around at all at the moment. Danny Fury Martin here in P29. We've got Hilton fighting out at the moment in P27 with Mr. Elliot James. Those two not letting each other walk freely here. It doesn't matter what position you are on this grid, you're always going to have some form of battle at some point. So you're never left sleeping while driving around any track within the SRL racing leagues. So obviously it is open to anyone of any kind of skill level, so do get yourselves involved. If you're like me, that aren't the quickest people in the world, this is still a fantastic league to get involved with, because you're always going to find someone that's around the same pace as you that you'll have some fantastic battles with, because when I've raced with SRL before, it's been quality. So do get yourselves involved if you possibly can. Mark Draper trying to defend and show off his skills and his pace as he opts for the inside line and keeps Mr. McCain in behind him. As you can see, Mr. McCain using his experience, getting his knee down on the inside of the corner, as you can see on his picture in the bottom left corner. And speaking of which, going into a left corner now, he's getting that left knee down and trying to get the advantage on top of Mr. Draper, which he's not going to do so, because unfortunately, look, he's on the outside. Looks for the cutback almost on that right-hander hairpin. Now into the double fast right-hander into last corner. You can see the, I would say, the famous N on the front of some of these touring cars as well. Sticks out nice and bright amongst others. But at the moment, you have Mr. Faulkner leading the way, followed by Mr. Garrity and Mr. Draper. Adam Delmont now posting the quickest lap time of the race as well, 1:37.121. Fantastic lap time there for you, sir. Keep that going. That gap is coming down. So Adam Delmont now for third, or P5 and P6, pushing up towards the podium spots once again. Now someone we can't write off that I don't think was here for the first free race of the three. He was a latecomer, I believe, joined in the second week of the free races, and that is Mr. Will Lyon there. So car number 23. He is coming along the back straight now and putting up a good fight against some of the quick runners out there on the track week in, week out. He's really pushing them to their limits and trying to gain as many positions and work out things on track as best as he possibly can to gain the best advantage he possibly can amongst those other quicker drivers. Unfortunately, with some sad contact towards the end of the last couple of rounds from last week, where that did cost Will big time in his positioning. So he's made a good drive so far tonight after race 1, now up into P7 for race 2. A few extra minutes in race 2 as well to get the job done even further, and there's a little bit of contact there between Stephen Fry and Christopher Barnes. Chris carries on though and gains the P16 position. Stephen Fry Probably looking for, I wouldn't say a bit of revenge, but you can see he was P14. He's now P17. So unfortunately, he's lost one position overall since his starting position. However, in that couple of corners there, in that last sort of sector, he's lost 3 positions, sadly. So he knocks himself down to P17. Let's have a look at someone we haven't mentioned too much about tonight. The, I believe the owner and, well, yeah, the owner / team leader of the Kraken Racing livery car there, and that is Mr. Robert Williams, car number 1. He is the owner of the Kraken Racing team and Kraken Racing YouTube channel as well, so go give that a check out at the same time. There's some POVs on there, some fantastic racing as well. Watched one of those live the other day. We had a fantastic double overtake in the Clios around the Nürburgring on the very last lap in the last couple of corners, so it was very entertaining to watch. He just did there. It's going to cost him a little more than what he would like, and it's going to set him back a fair few, I say, tenths of a second from the car in front, so it's not going to be easy to catch Neto if that's going to be the way things plan out. And Craig Walters has gone into the pits, P19, and now he's dropped down to, and he's going to go even further as Paul Hurley and Neil Stevenson get the overtakes done on him as he comes into the pits for an unknown reason, but I'm sure that will be cleared up if we do have an interview with Mr. Walters as well towards the end of this race. Neil Stevenson was looking for the move up the inside of Paul Hurley. Unfortunately, didn't have the sort of space to get the job done, didn't have the momentum to do so. You can see the black highlights of the car of Mr. Paul Hurley there, number 51, in front in this pack of 3. So he's currently sitting P19 overall, and unfortunately there's contact, and Paul Hurley has gone into the grass, or into the sand, sorry, backwards. And luckily he's able to keep that car moving and not have it beached in position. And sadly there was contact between him and Neil Stevenson. Neil Stevenson carries on up into P22. I would say up, but he's actually lost a position overall, I believe, to that situation there. So he's currently down 9 positions from his starting place on the grid. The Milky Bar kid will not be too pleased with that contact just then. But you can see how wide some of these cars are going there on the entrance to that corner. As you can see, some of the grass being picked up and thrown onto the track. Paul Hurley now has to defend against Elliot James, as Elliot James looks to try and get the attack on there as well. Jump up to Mr. Adam McNally, who at the minute is sitting there in a SRL car battle by the looks of things, with Mr. John Brown. Mr. Brown and Mr. McNally fighting it out for the bottom of the top 10. Now, when you say it like that, it doesn't sound very promising because you've used the word bottom, but to be fair, a top 10 position in a 33 car race is not bad whatsoever. Bearing in mind, I think most TCR races on the official series sits around 17 cars, if I'm not mistaken, on Iris, and so this will be a quality result for them, and obviously a lot of points up for grabs as well. If you do want to find out who wins the championship overall, even though I think we might already have our winner after race 1, after his fantastic win, but if you want to find out who had won the championship standings, you can obviously do so in the Discord of SRL, so jump in there, you can see the results from the 3 free race event, and you can see who's reigned victorious leading into the new season. So if you want to try and predict who's going to win the new season of TCRs overall, you can almost use it as a bit of a cheat code to try and get an advantage and work out who's going to be finishing where. Dan Mould, while we were just talking about that, gets the move done on Mr. Thurtle, which is not an easy customer to get by, and he gets the job done, moves up into P7, car number 80 there, just behind Will Lyon as well. So Will is doing a fantastic job up into P6 now overall. More sand being kicked up as normal on the inside there of the final corner. 18 minutes have lapsed out of the 25 here at the Okayama circuit. There's not much time to go to get the job done, as Mr. Williams looks to get the momentum advantage on top of Ricardo Neto and sort of heading towards the inside line. Looks like Ricardo's going to go defensive. Can Rob get him done on the outside? If not, is he going to look towards the switchback? He's going to go for the outside line. cuts back onto what would be the outside line again. Is he going to switch back again and look towards the inside? No, he's not. He's just going to sit in single file traffic. There is a fair gap between the two cars now, so probably not in a position to make a move yet unless it was going to be some form of lunge. But I'm sure he'll keep his foot down and keep the gap closing as best as he possibly can. But he does need to keep half an eye out for Deju just in behind. Deju will attack and gain a position if Rob slips up anywhere or focuses too much on attack. You now need to try and balance it out evenly between attack and defense. You don't want to slip up and on your attacks lose a position. Speaking of attacking, Chris Barnes at the moment, P16 overall. Down one position from what it says on the side of the car. Side of the car it says P15 and P16 is just in front. So unfortunately Giles and Chris have switched positions since then. So Giles is now P15 and Chris Barnes now P16. Chris Barnes will be looking to take that back as soon as possible. As we head into the two quick right-handers to finish off this lap here, as the leader is now coming on to lap number 13. Patrick Faulkner, 1:37.4 is the time for your leader. 1:37 flat for Mr. McNally. That seems to be the quickest time that we've seen posted on this time around. So McNally fastest on lap number 12 to 13. Alan McCain switching positions there with Will Lyon as well, as the battle reigns on between these two. Up the back straight now. The Union Jack spoiler against the Scottish spoiler of the Iron Brew car there in front, Mr. Will. He's got to try and defend this position if he possibly can. Alan McCain looks towards the inside, doesn't quite get it. Nose gets sort of cut off almost from Mr. Will Lyon there. And Will manages to keep that position in front of Mr. McCain, followed by Dan Mould. Then obviously Alpha Thurtle behind that as well. So a lot of good names, good quick racers all amongst the battles here at the moment. All similar pace as well, as you can see. Looks like Jay Corley in the background pulling off and letting Deck through. Looks like a slowdown potentially from the double left-handers, possibly an off-track and an advantage, illegal advantage gained. So he's had to slow down and give the time back. Robert Williams and Deju are battling for position at the minute, still side by side as they come in to the left-hander. Rob surrenders the position, sits in behind and possibly looks to gain the advantage onto the straight. If you can keep with the car in front, you should be able to get the momentum and gain the advantage going into turn one. But it's certainly not going to be easy, and it doesn't look like Rob's going to be close enough to get the job done leading into turn one here, but I could be wrong. He could have the momentum advantage. Let's have a little look at the batter box in the bottom right corner. You can see the time is more or less staying the same, so he's not going to have it going into turn one. So you can see it gets down to almost 3/10 there as these two cars go around for lap number 14. 3 minutes to go of the second race, and the final race of the 3-free race event. Patrick Faulkner currently leading things as it stands, but possibly not for very long, as Fraser Garrity has closed that gap up to 4/10 now. Mark Draper and Adam Delmont just in behind that. Adam Delmont looking for another podium spot once again, and it's familiar territories for Delmont here at the moment. Will Lyon looking to follow suit as well, and I imagine if Mr. Delmont makes the move, Mr. Lyon is going to follow him through and try and jump onto the podium himself. And in all fairness, I'd say a lot of these drivers out here tonight do deserve a podium position, but there's only 3 to give away, so they really do need to pull their finger out and fight for it as best as they can going into the last 2 minutes of the racing session, as we literally just tick on to the 23rd minute now, as the leader just comes across the line to start lap number 15. 137s across the board is what's going in for these TCR cars so far. 137.2, 137.1. That is the best time so far this lap from Dan Mould. 137.1. As we lead into the final, or towards the final minute of this race. This is what it comes down to for some people in terms of the points, this could be what leapfrogs them up into a slightly better position, either by a name or possibly even 2 or 3 names, because there are quite a few points up for grabs as well. So when you overtake one person, you're not just gaining 1 extra point, you're gaining quite a few extra points, as Adam Delmont looks to try and get onto this battle, and it becomes from a 2-car battle to a 3-car battle. Fraser Garrity, Draper, Delmont, all last minute tensions between the few cars there. Looks like Fraser Garrity has come out the worst, and unfortunately onto the sand and off track down into P7, so that changes the mix entirely up top. Adam Delmont is now on the podium, possibly looking for a sniff into P2. Will Lyon now thinking about a podium spot as well, currently sitting there in P4. Once again, as always, what we'll do is we'll jump on board with Mr. Falconer as he comes into the last corner. Now this is pressure that he's got on the back of his car, 9 tenths apart, nearly a second or so from the car behind, and there's the white flag. So this is where things get really tense for Mr. Falconer as he looks to seal the final win for the free 3 race event. Can he get the job done? Can he take that P1 trophy home for the final 3 race event? First few corners look nice and solid for him, keeping that gap between 9 tenths. Mark Draper here having to defend against Delmont, possibly. Delmont looks towards the inside, almost a little bit of desperation there it seems to be as Delmont goes towards the inside. These two are now going to be side by side up the straight, no doubt, for the entire thing. As you can see there, your leader is still 1 second ahead. He's gaining time, if anything, while these two battle. As you can see, the time gets up to 1.2 nearly. Adam Delmont looks to take the inside line. Can he get the job done? He does. Is Will going to sneak through? Will is going to sneak through. He's got his... Oh! Side-by-side contact there. Massive between Draper and Will Lyon. And unfortunately, once again, last week has copied once again. Unfortunately, contact late on in the race between Will and another racer has cost him position. And it didn't look like Will done anything wrong in live time there. Unfortunately, he was just turned in on by Mark Draper towards the end of the race. We'll have to obviously look back at that for a correct verdict, because I can only tell you what I see in live time. And unfortunately, they were side by side, but there's a bit of action going on there, and things got a little bit tense as Patrick Falconer looks to take P1 for the final race of the evening. Then as Adam Delmont comes across P2, Mark Draper P3, overall Damar just missing out on the podium, and unfortunately Will Lyon in P5. So we'll wait for all those drivers to come across the line. Some tense action towards the end of the race there. As you can see, some of the cars do beach themselves on the sand towards the end of the race, just to come to a stop and get out of the car and probably get cooled down as soon as possible as well, because that's probably not the nicest of feelings. As we wait for all these cars to come across the line. And what we'll do is we'll look at bringing some people in for some interviews as well for the last 3 race event. I can't believe we've come to the end of 3 weeks already. 3 weeks have absolutely flown by. So what we'll do is we will bring you your results for the feature race as they pop up on screen for you now. So Mr. Patrick Falconer finishes your second race and your final race of the free series. P1 overall, so fantastic racing there from Mr. Falconer. Adam Delmont P2, Mark Draper rounds off your podium spots in P3. A wicked result for all those drivers there. Dan Mould P4, Will Lyon P5, Alan McCain P6, Fraser Garrity P7, John Brown P8, Adam McNally P9, Arthur Thurtle rounds off your top 10, Tech Crowther P11, Jay Corley P12, Stephen Fry P13, and then you have Giles Hubin P14, Chris Barnes P15, Kim Andre Bjorkland P16, Mr. Deju in P17 overall. As we scroll down the grid a little further, P18 is Ricardo Neto, Robert Williams P19, Kev Violet rounds off your top 20, Neil Stevenson Nick Kent, Paul Hurley, Elliot James, Carl Fleet at the top 25. Hilton Nickerson, Cooper Akers, followed by Danny Fury Martin, Craig Walters, Daniel Lewis, Stuart Gibbons, Anthony Hilton, and Fraser Elphick. They're running off your top 33 races. So that is all of the grid there, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, that brings us sort of towards the end of what has been an absolutely fantastic night of racing. What we're going to do is, if we have anyone to interview, we'll get some interviews going in a second. And in fact, yes, we do have someone coming into the booth with us. And this is someone that you will all recognise as we just get things ready to bring him in. So, Arthur Thurtle will be joining us in the booth. Let's bring him in. Mr. Thurtle, welcome in, senor. How are we feeling?
Okay, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit of chaos after the sort of towards the end of that second race there. But, well, the last event of the 3-3 race series, how do you feel?
I feel a bit bruised after tonight. It was brutal. I couldn't keep up. I don't know how I got pole position.
There did seem to be a bit of position loss, shall we say, in race 1. I didn't really want to touch on it too much, but we did see you slipping down the positions a little bit there at the start. Was that just due to cold tyres or some mistakes, or was that literally just down to how tight and the pace of the pack?
Oh, everyone's very close on pace, and I just didn't have it. I don't know how I got pole position. I just couldn't do it. Whenever I was in a battle with anyone, whether it was the Audi or the Honda especially, I had people doing dives on me from miles back in the Honda. I don't know how it stops that well, and they're also going around the outside of me. I don't know where they've got the grip there, because if I tried the outside line, I just had no grip. And yeah, I don't know. That was just quicker.
I mean, they were tonight, but they haven't been, throughout the races that we've seen so far. But it seems that Okayama always has that sort of close racing effect to it, and no matter what cars you race around here, it always seems to be sort of shoulder to shoulder and bumper to bumper. And well, like you say, you felt a bit bruised out there, but overall, it wasn't a terrible result from you. Obviously, Adam Delmont increasing or trying to increase the points lead that he has at the moment for the free racing, and well, you've done well to sort of keep up with him, because you two seem to be nose and tail for both races, really.
I tried my best. There was no way I'd keep up with him for a whole race. I definitely was out of the top 3 on pace tonight, but it was good fun. That must be one of the closest top 10s we've ever had, though, in SRL, I would have thought, because normally there's one driver in the reverse grid that gets away a bit, but no one had got away in this. It was real close. John done a good move on me at the end there. He did owe me one, because I squeezed him a little bit at the start on one of the laps, and he did owe me one, so he got me back for there, which was fair play.
Yeah, I mean, overall, not a terrible night for you. It could have gone a lot worse. So the main thing is you finished both races, and I'd say fairly strong positions as well. So not bad overall at all.
All good fun. That's all we're here for.
Now, I remember I did ask a few people this last week. Now, I'm going to ask people again in case answers have changed. Are we going to be seeing you in the new season of the TCRs when that starts next week?
It all depends on my house move. If I've got a moving date by the end of next week, then I'll know if I'm going to enter or not. If I still haven't even got a date, then I'll enter. Well, if there's a space left.
In the politest way possible, I really hope you don't move house. And hopefully we'll see you on track more then. But is there anyone you wish to shout out before you leave the commentary booth here tonight?
I'd like to shout out my lovely wife. She lets me come on here a couple of times a week for league racing, and
Brownie
she don't
points.
moan or anything like that. So yeah, shout out the wife and the dog, because I did get in trouble before for shouting out the wife and not shouting out the dog. So I'd like to shout out my dog Scamp as well for his awesome support.
Well, big shout out to Mrs. Thurtle and the dog that no doubt probably supported you throughout no end for both of those races here tonight.
He's my biggest fan.
I'm not surprised. Well, I wish you all the best, and obviously, fingers crossed if the move does go ahead. Hopefully, that all goes smoothly for you, and yeah, hopefully, we'll see you on the track again very, very soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. So that was Mr. Thurtle. Now, the next person we are going to get into the booth with us is someone that, well, does have a lot of pace that a lot of you will recognise. And if I can get everything set, there we go. Let's bring in Mr. Adam Delmont then. So, Mr. Delmont, you are obviously someone that has incredible pace, and well, that was a hell of a second race drive from you, but a quality first race result as well. A lot of points up for grabs, and well, you took it by the scruff of the collar.
Yeah, good evening, bud. Yeah, enjoyed that, mate. I mean, yeah, race 2 were just unreal. That were mega. Yeah, really, really good racing.
Now, Mr. Thurtle, we just had it in the booth here, said it was a bit rough out there in some areas as well. Did you find that, or was it just because of how close and the nature of the racing at Okayama?
No, not really. I mean, to be fair, there were a moment between me and Arthur, and I actually thought we'd been hit from behind. But I did have a look, and there is a little bit of net code, but I think I'm turning in late to give room, but maybe I should have given him a little bit more. I think we both could have left a little bit more room at turning. But it didn't affect us too much. It just knocked me a little bit sideways, knocked Arthur a bit sideways, didn't give us any damage, and we carried on. But apart from that, I thought we were pretty clean. The track is hard to pass, especially with a lot of drivers of a similar pace, so it is open to a bit of a send. Because you have to get a pass. I mean, quite a few of my moves came from dummy in a send. Throw it to inside, brake really late as if you're going to throw it, but then really haul it up to slow it so that they still can turn in. But it spooks them and they think that you're going to be there, so that it can open the door, which is, a good little mental tactic to use on a track like this. But yeah, no, I thought we were mega, and obviously got up to P2, so enjoyed that. Tried to chase down Paddy, but well done to Paddy, deserving win. He's quick as Paddy.
He certainly was. He had a fantastic race there in the second time around. But so here's a question I want to ask you. Then, obviously, you were around a lot, and obviously within one. So the Honda, Mr. Turtle did say that the Honda seemed to be able to brake a lot later, and he doesn't know how that thing was getting stopped so quickly. Did you find that sort of quite easily with the Honda? Did you find that you could brake a little later than some of the other people out there, and was that a massive advantage going into tonight for you, or were you finding that that was sort of pushing you a bit further than what you would like?
Yeah, the Civic's always been, one of its strengths. Well, the two main strengths of the Civic is the brakes and the direction change, so like through chicanes, things like that. It does struggle slightly top end, and it can be a little bit slower off the go. They all have the strengths and weaknesses, which become apparent depending on what track you've got. But the Civic is notoriously good on the brakes. You've just got to be brave with it. But I mean, my strength has always been on my brakes. I've always been one of the last of the late breakers per se. So the Civic really suits my style of driving. I like it pointy on front, loose on the rear. So most corner entry, I'm slightly opposite lot, and that's how I like it. But the Civic responds to that, and it drives really well when you do it like that. But it is a tricky car to drive. A lot of people. It's not just the fact that it's really good on the brakes. It can be really good on the brakes, but you have to do it right. If you don't, it takes just as long as every other car out there to stop. So, yeah, it's just a little technique you learn with the Civic specifically on how to modulate its brakes and, exploit its strengths, basically.
Yeah, 100% completely agree with you there. Well, a question I was asking people last week, and I will carry on this week to see if any answers do change, and will we be seeing you in the new season for the SRL TCRs?
Yes, you will, bud. Signed up, paid up, signed up. So, yeah, I'll be there.
Lovely. Look forward to seeing you on track. Well, before you depart from us here in the booth, is there anyone you wish to give a shout out here tonight?
Yeah, yourself and all the admins, for putting the leagues together and the broadcasts. I'll look forward to watching that afterwards while I have a nice drink and cool down. SRL, Next Gen, all their associated sponsors, and all the other drivers and everybody that tunes in to watch. Big thanks to everyone. I'll see you everyone at the main season start.
Yeah, you certainly will, and it's not long to go either. So make sure you do get your practice in, and we look forward to seeing you on track for the first round.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So the next person we are going to bring in is someone I don't get to talk to quite often. Mr. Paddy Faulkner. Welcome in, sir. How are we doing?
Oh, not too bad. I won a race. That's all that matters.
You did indeed. So let's talk about that race then. Race 2, obviously a fantastic drive from you. Held out your lead, and towards the end, obviously as the cars behind you were battling it out, that gap increased as well. Like before we start talking about the start of the race and everything, I want to get your thoughts while they're fresh in the mind of those last couple of laps. How were you feeling? Like, talk us through that. How were you feeling as you saw that gap slowly start to increase, but you saw those names behind you?
Well, Fraser Garrity did an absolute outstanding job from behind. It was a bit tit for tat. He was coming close, and I was able to edge away. I made a mistake. He got close, and I was able to just creep away a little bit. But yeah, when you see your relative, crew chief is telling you Dan Mole's doing a 37.0, and and it's the times are just ridiculously fast. And then you see Delmont creep up one by one on your relative, and you just think, oh, any minute now. But no, it's tough when you got Dan Mold and you got Adam Delmont behind you. They're coming in fast. You got to be on it. But no, lucky enough, because I was screaming it myself, and I had a few of the team mates in there chatting to me. They were challenging me. At one point, I was singing "Let It Go" by Frozen. I don't know why. Just teammates being teammates, really. But it kind of relaxes you down because you don't want to be all tense and shaky. So them chatting to me being silly was quite fun. And that kind of kept me relaxed and calm. And then all of a sudden, Fraser was behind me. I knew he was there. And with Fraser Garrity as well, and some of the other drivers, quite a lot of the drivers, I don't have to look in my rearview mirror. So I trust where they are, trust what they're going to do. I trust they're not going to send it on me and make a stupid attempt to pass. So I could just carry on watching in front of me. And that's all credit to them sort of guys. You can race and look ahead and not constantly watch the mirror. I watch the relative and I see it like 0.3, and that means it's pretty much in my boot. But then you have to be a bit careful where you're placing the car, making sure you don't miss the braking and overturn the car and what have you. But no, and then I saw the cloud of smoke behind me, and I was so disheartened because he was so close to me the whole time. But in everything, I kind of breathed. I was like, "Ooh, okay." Got a bit of gap, and it's like a second gap for me and Delmont. That's a big gap. It's like a playing field for me. But make no mistake, he would have caught me up in a couple of laps. So thank God for the white flag to Frey and Barney, the flag man. I was able to keep the win.
And you've done a fantastic job at it as well, and it was a magnificent win. It was the final race of the 3 free event series, so obviously a perfect race to win as well, the very last one. So if anything, you got a bit of bragging rights there to win the final race leading into the new season. So are we seeing you in the new season of the TCRs when that starts?
That's the plan. That is definitely the plan. I do another league with most of the guys on a Tuesday anyway, so it makes sense to do the one on the Friday. It's a later time, so it's a bit nicer, get the family settled down and I can kind of have a bit of peace. But no, yeah, definitely I'm going to come back. The SRL guys, they do a fantastic league, and Dan Mold, all credit to him. He's so hot on it. Before the races, he's telling everybody, keep calm, keep quiet, don't cause issues, and that's what you want. And you want a league that races hard and fair, and I'd rather be nose to nose for a whole race and not gain a position, and then be binned off by the first lap because somebody wants to take a punt on the first, win the race on the first lap. So yeah, I will be here, and I'm so pleased to be involved with the SRL TCR League, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm hoping we smashed numbers and it's just a big success because SRL guys, I used to race for them in the Project Cars days and back in the day in Xboxes and controller pads. So it's nice to be back doing it with them again.
Certainly is, and well, it was fantastic to see you out there on track tonight, and obviously congratulations on a massive win. Is there anyone you wish to shout out before you depart from us in the booth tonight?
Well, the team DCW Racing, I don't know whether they'll be watching, hopefully they will, but they've always been a big support of mine, and big thanks to Dan for getting me involved into SRL and welcoming me into the group sort of thing. So yeah, big shout out to everybody, and for you guys for commentating and making it entertaining each week.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words, and well, hopefully we'll see you in the new season, and if we do, we look forward to seeing when you're going to pick up your next win. We'll be keeping a keen eye out for your bright green car, and hopefully we'll see it on the podium once again very, very soon.
Well, you can't miss me, can you? That's for one thing for sure. Watch out for the green car.
We certainly will be. So hopefully we'll see you again on the podium soon, and if not, hopefully we'll see you in the commentary booth with us on another interview again in the near future.
Thanks for having me, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. So the last person we will have join us in the booth then is the man, the myth, the legend. Mr. Mould is now joining us. Dan, are you there? Welcome in.
Yo, everyone.
How are you feeling? It sounds like you're very happy after, well, what has been a fantastic free entry series, you know, a pre-season series. What's the thoughts? How are we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm hoping that the experience I had was throughout the field tonight, because that has got to go down in my 5 years on iRacing as one of the best races, well, best two races I have ever been involved in, and I won none of them.
That is something, because it's not often that you hear a racing driver turn around and say that was the best race they've ever done and they haven't won or anything like that. So that is saying something.
I think race 2 towards the end, am I right in saying there was 7 of us in a train? It was, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think it was something along that line, and then I think it was actually the top 10 were all still within a second of each other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, and to be fair, throughout the entire race 1 and race 2, it was actually probably one of the biggest struggles I have ever had broadcasting, because the gaps are so close all over the field, it is impossible to keep up. So this is probably one of the closest races I have ever witnessed. And obviously Okayama, the nature of this track as well, it keeps cars close together, but especially the bunch we had out there tonight with the TCRs has been absolutely wonderful. Now, with the car choice that you've gone for, obviously we saw you out in the Honda. Arthur had the first interview, and he was saying that obviously the Honda was stopping and putting a few dives on him because they can stop a lot later and they can just zip past on some of these corners. And obviously one of the crucial ones is after the long back straight into the hairpin right-hander. Did you find that a massive advantage when it comes to your overtaking game, or was it just, you know, another day in the office?
No, Arthur's just bitter that he just got pipped by a better driver and he's just blaming the car. That's all it is with Arthur. I've just gone round him on the outside of a corner. I would have done the same thing in the Elantra or the Audi or even the Veloster or even the Mazda. Arthur was not on it tonight. He was very slow. He was sluggish. I'd even put him in the AM category with his pace tonight, truth be told. So he can come away with all these excuses on the car. It was just down to driver skill. That was it.
Well, as a governing body from the neutral point of view, I'm going to stay well clear of all those opinions, and I'm going to specify now that the opinions of Dan Miles do not represent me or the SRL community.
I'll give you a better answer. The Honda, I've been driving it quite frequently lately. Didn't really notice the brakes at first, but I don't think I was, utilizing the brakes to their full potential, and now. It does brake really well. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it for me personally. correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone who drives a Honda who's a Honda expert. For me, I don't feel like I can brake later in it, but I feel like I've got a lot more control at the latter end of the braking, where you tend to, let's just say in the Veloster and I brake at the same point. I think at the latter end of braking, I can control it a lot better, and I get a lot less understeer, and I can really rotate the rear end of that Honda. It feels to me like the car floats, which I've never had out the other three cars, but I don't know. It might just be me. I don't know, but at the moment, yeah, I'm really liking the Honda, and I think I'm going to stick with it. I've always been, well, for a long time, I've always been a Veloster fan, but I'm leaning towards the Honda, and I think I'm gonna stay with it for this season.
Well, I mean, it was a cracking show from a lot of the Honda drivers out there, but also the Audis were getting involved a lot as well. It was good to see all around. Now, obviously, the turnout of the free race events have been really good. Is there an official number you can bring us to the car entries for the new season? And do you want to just share any final sort of details to enlighten people on what they can expect coming over the next few weeks?
Well, anybody who's taken part in these 3-for-3 races that we've hosted over the last 3 weeks, the format that we've done in these races will be the exact same format for the league. The only difference being is that now, because we've got over 30 drivers signed up now, we will be running a Pro-Am series, and we will be using the previous races that we've done to gauge an idea of where we're going to put the drivers in each category. We're going to try and get a good balance of drivers. I don't think we'll get it spot on. We may have to move some people up and down, or not. We don't actually know yet. But we like to stress that we're not taking this league deadly serious. It's just a fun league that we just put a lot of time into. So don't be disheartened if you feel like you're in a class. If you have signed up, sorry, don't be disheartened if you feel like you're in the wrong class. Just race the guy alongside you and have some fun. As I said, yeah, we've got in the excess of 30 drivers signed up. We are going to cap it to 40. So if you do want to get involved, get your names down now. As you've seen tonight, it's a fantastic grid of drivers out there. Different variety of skill level as well. But the main thing about the drivers on the field, I found, is that, yeah, no matter what league you take part in, Callum, or you're a part of, you're going to find incidents. It happens in any motorsport, so we just can't avoid it. So all we can try and do as league organisers is educate drivers, and just try and keep their mental frame fresh, that we go into a race to try and finish the race, which is what I've been trying to do at the start of each race, just give them a bit of a pep talk, should I say. And that race, just when I was looking at my track map, I was surprised to see, I was very happy to see that all the cars are completed one full lap together, which is, a track like that is very hard to achieve with that many cars on track. So we have got a real good grid of drivers. So, if you want to get involved, you are coming into a real healthy league where we all get on. There's no toxic. I can't say it.
Toxicity.
Yeah, in the league, we won't allow it. We'll always try and, like I say, educate and help where we can with the racing. So yeah, get involved. We are going to put as much time as we can into the league. We've got, obviously, John's helping me, yourself who's involved. We've got Dan Lewis, who does the tables for us very promptly. We've got Kev Eilert, who helps in the background as well. We are going to put the funds we rake in are going to go back into the league, paying for sessions and trophies that we're going to try and get organised. Just things we just, like I say, I've always stressed that we all go work, we work hard, we pay for this hobby that we all love, and we as SRL hosts want to put on a platform where you can come and embrace your hobby and have a good night's racing and enjoy it. So please, you'll love it. Get involved.
I can't really top that off, to be honest. So, but overall, a fantastic 3-race series, and obviously a lot more delight to look forward to in the new season as well. But obviously, Dan, before you go, I mean, anyone you wish to shout out before you leave us here tonight?
Everyone who's taken part in the 3 races that we've hosted, whether you sign up or not, just want to say a big thank you. You know, you have contributed into us putting this league together. Without the drivers, we wouldn't have the inspiration to carry it on. So, yeah, everyone involved. Obviously yourself for doing the commentary. A big shout out for Dan Lewis, because you know he races. And then he's still, even though I've told him not to, he still seems to be able to get these tails banged out instantly, which it's not essential to us. We don't mind, you know, we can wait a day. But if that's what he wants to do, go for it. And we love it. And we love him for it, because they are unbelievable presented tables. And, you know, end of the day, we come to have a good race, but we all like to see our names, don't we? We love to see our names on a table and where we are. So, big shout out to him, and big shout out to Kev as well. You know, all his advice and stuff that he gives in the background, and a big shout out to John. Without John, we wouldn't have all these fancy graphics. We wouldn't have these sessions. He advertises the league everywhere I go. The league's there advertised. So you know, he brings in a lot of people in the Discord. So yeah. I think that's it. And a big shout out tonight, personally from myself, to Will Lion or Leon, because that race I had with you there, Will. I mean, swapping and changing positions, it was unbelievable. Like I say, I don't care if I finish first, second, third, or last racing like that. So yeah, big shout out to him. That was amazing. And that's me done now, mate. I'm gonna get me red wine now, and I'm gonna chill out. Say no more.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, you enjoy your wine, and I'll go over the points for the finale, I guess. And yeah, I'll probably see you very, very soon in the watch along. So,
all right, mate.
Enjoy, and I'll catch you again very soon.
See you, dude. Cheers. Bye bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the interviews for the final round. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to bring you some results. Now, these point results are being posted onto your screens now. The points you see in front of you are the finalised points after the race here in Okayama. So Adam Delmont wins the free race series on 353 points. Dan Mould finishes P2 on the series on 282. And Arthur Thurtle rounds off the podium spots on 276. Paddy Faulkner with a massive win in the second race. Unfortunately, just missing out on the podium by 2 points, but nonetheless a wonderful result for him. John Brown finishing P5 on 235. Then, as we go down the grid a little bit with a bit quicker pace, we have Alan McCain, Kim Andre Bjorklund P7, Will Lyon P8, Andrew Lovesey P9, Jay Corley rounds off your top 10. Philip Grace at P11, Deck Crowther P12, Daniel Sedgley P13, Stephen Fry P14, Mark Draper P15, Adam McNally P16, Ricardo Neto P17, Fraser Garrity P18, Neil Stevenson P19, Scott Malcolm P20, Rob Williams P21, Stuart Gibbons P22. And then we have a Rob Williams again in P23, Stu Gibbons again in P24. So a little bit of a screw up with the graphic there, but nonetheless, obviously you know where those two had finished. And followed by Chris Barnes, Danny Martin there, 1 point split in those two. Joe Pirro just in behind that, Paul Hurley, Dan Lewis, David Van der Vos as well, Deju there, Craig Walters, Cooper Akers, Tom Woodcock, and Naveed Hussain as well. Grant Yingling in there with Anthony Hilton and Christoph Boris Nick Kent, Carl Fleet and Frank Cinchetti, Kev Eilert, Connor Craven and Elliot James all in amongst it as well. So 44 cars overall in your points there listed on your screens. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from me, myself, and I, and everyone from the SRL community. That was your 3 free race series, and well, don't worry, the content carries on as we go into the next round. Now let me show you the race info here. You can see that the new season at the bottom there starts the 12th of April. So make sure you get yourselves involved just before that date starts and get yourself involved in this league racing. But from me now, on behalf of the SRL community, until then, catch you next time and stay safe. Bye bye.